I actually believe the weekend for Kenny's wedding, you were dressed to the T the entire weekend, from the moment you got there, from the moment you left. I noticed you were just, even if you changed, you were hanging around the house. It's like a new fresh fit came on. It's like, where the fuck did that come from?
Brother,
We're just
you
hanging
got to,
around the
man.
house. We're cooking
You've got
steak right
to.
now.
You've
I
got to,
love it.
man.
Dude, my
Hey,
mom's from Italy. I know
I'm
all
just trying
about
to get
it.
like you. That's about it.
Yeah, that you two both got that going on for sure.
Yeah, what's up, Reggie? Where are you at now? I know you're always. I feel like you're on the move. You texted me the other day. You're like, I feel like I'm texting the president. I was like, yeah, me. I feel like I'm the president. What the fuck are
Bro,
you up to?
I'm just trying to stay busy, man.
Yeah,
I'm still rehabbing this shoulder, obviously. So it's been going well. Everything's not always gonna go up. So a
good
little,
news from last week, right?
good news from last week. So got the cortisone injection, got a little bit of lubricant in there. So I'll start throwing plyos on Thursday, and then I'll start throwing the following Monday. But yeah, bro, just trying to stay busy, trying to go to events and make stuff happen. That's about it.
Events. What do you mean by that?
Just random networking events. A lot of the guys that I'm friends with out here, just real estate, any business you could possibly think of. So just like dinners with them, picking their brains. I had one last night with the church actually. So they just got a bunch of people together at one of the churchgoers' homes in Paradise Valley. So we had a little gathering there. So just stuff like that, man. Just trying to learn, trying to
You
be a
know,
smart.
actually, take me through that because Kenny told me um, about a year. I think you were doing it even when you were in college. You were trying to do stuff like this.
So
He was telling me that you're the networking king, word for word. That's what he said. And he's like, dude, he'll just pull up to a random event at a hotel, like the lobby or this and that, wherever it is. He'll just put a nice fit on. He'll just walk in and just make conversation, do this and that, and then he just ends up with, this number and that number, and he just does these things for fun. And that's the first I've ever heard of anyone our age, first off, but like really that does that for fun. Usually it's like there's a reason you do it. Obviously you have a reason, but when did that start? Why do you do that?
I'll tell you what, man. When I when I blew out the elbow, first surgery,
Okay.
that was a weird time in my life, right? So, you know, middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, ended up just falling into baseball, at a pretty high level. Um, and then, fast forward through college, was a two-way player, didn't throw much on the mound. Then one day I wake up and I'm throwing 100, and now, I'm in the conversation for being number one pick. All that happened within a couple years, right? And obviously, that you can imagine, I'm feeling good, right? Having those conversations, I'm feeling like I'm on top of the world. And then just a normal day in October, threw a pitch, felt a little pop in my elbow, and I knew what it was. So that was the first taste in my life of having something and then just getting that taken right away.
Yeah.
And I hated that feeling, and I didn't like that. Um, so what I was faced with was just like kind of preparing for the future. What I was faced with was, do I allow for this to happen again, right? Or do I put myself in a position no matter what happens on the field,
I see.
I will have success. And dude, ever since then, man, I've just been trying to utilize the people that I have in my corner, but no matter the room, no matter the event, like I try to be a sponge, man. And I will never try to put on this little fake persona thing. Like, I'm trying to learn. When I'm going to these places, I'm trying to learn. And if anything, I'd rather dumb myself down rather than trying to, you know, look a certain way and make myself seem smarter, because I would miss out on so much more by doing
Yeah.
that. So, I mean, started there, and I would just find myself at, you know, listening to random podcasts, reading, you know, bits and pieces of random books, and then yeah, just like stumbled into just the business side of things, and started meeting luxury real estate developers, and musicians, and this random person, that random person. Then I'm getting introductions made across the board, and you know, I just really enjoy it. But all of it just stems from the fact that it would keep me up at night if I put all my eggs in one basket
Mm-hmm.
and solely relied on my body to provide me with what I want out of this life. That would keep me up at night. So instead, I allot all of the time and energy that I can before I start to diminish return. Obviously, you can't go to the gym for 5 hours a day and expect to be in a good position. You can't throw 500 pitches a day and expect to be in a good position. So obviously, giving my time to my main driver, which is baseball, but at the same time, not wasting all of the extra time that I have in my day to day. So,
So
been trying to maximize
you you say you like want to learn all this stuff. For example, you go to that church thing last night. What did you learn last night?
So, there was a guy named, his name's Tommy. So, Tommy, this event was at his home. I don't want to give too much about the guy. It's like $12 million home in Paradise Valley. The guy just bought the neighbor's home. They tore it down. They're going to make another one. He's got 6 or 7 homes. He's in the garage door space. So just like anybody, right? All right. If I had $100 million, I'd be happy. Everybody thinks that. But what people don't realize is like these people have real world problems that go on, and everybody always thinks. And I was just talking to a friend about this today, actually. Everybody thinks that like, all right, when I get to this point, I'm gonna feel this way. When I get to this point, I'm gonna feel this way, and it's so easy to think that, right? You're always setting your
Yeah.
sights on the future, and it's everybody falls into it, but that's just not the reality. And when I say I'm learning, sometimes it's business strategies and social media and the way they want to target, whether it's billboards or buses, stuff like that, or whatever it may be. But a lot of these conversations are just real vulnerable conversations about real world stuff that people don't typically hear, and stuff that people don't typically think about when it comes to a person of high value or high net worth or stuff like that. So when you're talking about, say, it's another business owner where it's like, she was expressing the fact that like she put people in place in her company early on that she truly cares about, and she's at the point now where she wants to part ways. She could exit her company for a lot of money, but that would ultimately affect a lot of people in her life, and not in a good way, because then they would be out of job. They need to figure out what the next move is. So she's either faced with that, or does she just grind it out for 5 more years to sacrifice her happiness to keep that comfort of others. So it's random stuff that like that's really what kind of sits with me, because I remember being being a 12-year-old, and you're like, oh man, $1 million, I'm set for life. Like that makes everything so much better. And then like again, there's levels to all of it, but like then it's just not always what you think it's gonna be. So
I wanted to ask you this, not to cut you off. Something that I wanted to bring up in this was, it's funny you kind of brought up yourself. You obviously you went 30th overall. That comes with a price tag,
mhm.
right? So you're pretty wealthy for your age, of course. Pretty wealthy with regard to all ages. Now, getting that at a young age, and I don't want to say obviously you earned it, but there's not many situations like sports where you get that lump sum like up front.
Mhm.
You put the work in your whole life, but you got that money kind of fast. You signed your bonus, you got tax revenue, yes, but you got your bonus just right given to you. What type of struggles that you didn't expect came from having that? Did you think that once you got it, it was going to be like, wow, holy shit, I got it? But then were there things that you didn't realize where it's like, wow, this is harder than I thought it was going to be?
I like nothing about the financial stat. Not it didn't make anything harder per se. If anything, like it definitely took a lot of weight off my shoulders. Like it provides you with security, all that kind of stuff. But like I just thought that like, all right, you get that chunk of change, and like your problems go away. Like you
Yeah.
still have a lot of the stresses that you would have. they're still present. Like again, like I was saying, like there's real world stuff. Like there's gonna be stuff that knocks you down, and
Yeah.
just like anything, it's gonna fluctuate. Um, but there's nothing about the money that was like, I guess, other than the money actually showing up in the bank account, that was like, all right, that's crazy. But like when it was there was nothing about it that was like, all right, this is so much harder. This is, any different per se,
Did it
because
come with added responsibilities? Did it come with added, just kind of like,
absolutely,
ah, shit.
absolutely, absolutely. Because I mean, if I were to tell you that people don't look at you differently, I'd be lying to you.
Exactly.
So expectations are a little bit different. Like,
Mm-hmm.
even simple things like, all right, say there's a couple dudes, you go out to dinner, and it's like, not that the expectation is like,
Yeah.
you pick it up, but because of that, it makes it feel as though, oh, like this doesn't really feel, or this to you doesn't affect us as much as like, so little things like that, man, just like, navigating those, which it wasn't anything crazy, but like even stuff like that, it's stuff that doesn't get talked about enough. But I think just the preparation and just like the people that I surrounded myself with early on, and again, being a sponge,
Yeah.
and all right, I don't have $1 million yet, but when the million does come, what could I expect? So like when the time comes, I'm not, you know, I'm not trying to flock and figure out like,
Yeah. Yeah.
all right, what happens now? And same thing for the future. It's like, all right, I have my goals and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, when I get there, I don't want to be like shocked that I'm there. It's like, okay, I know what I did. I prepared. I, tried to get everything in order to support this. It's here. And now like, all right, let's go. But I mean, yeah, like I was what, maybe 21, I think 21, maybe 22 when, the chunk of change came, and, it's a lot different. So you could go and get certain things that you were never able to get before. So
Yeah.
I definitely feel like because of it, I matured very, very early, because you have to. It is a big
It's either
responsibility.
one or the other, I feel like.
Yeah, exactly. So also too, it's like, again, just using your eyes and your brain. It's like I've seen too many guys that they get that chunk of money and they just blow it. So it's like, I mean, you just choose which side you want to be on.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I've seen too many guys that, down the road, they're like, what do I do now? Because I, bought a bunch of random stuff that, does not serve me well at all. And I just didn't want to I didn't want to fall into that category. So just based off of that, just that would determine, what I would do with it and how I would approach it.
I'm interested in this networking side of you. When you first started doing it, did you ever like walk into the room and like not feel yourself, or like were afraid to be yourself?
No. So it's funny because like somebody asked me, actually Gabe Kapler asked me a couple years ago. He said, "Would you say you fit in?" And I laughed because I was thinking about this, and I said, "No, I don't feel like I fit in. Do I get along with everybody? Absolutely, but I wouldn't necessarily say I fit in, right? Like this way of thinking and just the way I go about certain things, like I wouldn't say it's particularly normal for the average person." So it's like I'm not going and having most of the conversations that I am at these events, just like day to day with people that I may come across or people that are my everyday. Whether it's a field or whatever it may be. But like you know, again, I said small town in Pennsylvania. That I never felt like I was out of place there. I just didn't feel like that was the place for me. But it wasn't until I started getting around, people who are really intentional, who care about all aspects of their life and how they do it. Things are just consistent across the board. They take care of their stuff. And when I got around them, I was like, oh wow, like this is along the lines of like who I am. So I was able to like see myself in a lot of those people. Um, but but yeah, I mean like you have, just think of baseball, right? The sports world. You're the top 1%. So it's like chances are you're not going to go and have a lot of the conversations that you would have at the field with, say you go to the mall, and like you're not going to have those conversations. So it's the same thing with with this. It's like when you have these people doing a lot of these things that are different, they are the top 1%. So it's like that is where I feel like I am able to really be myself and have authentic and genuine conversations and learn about the things that I'm really passionate about. Because like, yeah, I'm around those people, but
So would you say you feel more like yourself in those situations?
I do, yeah. And
Mm.
uh, also, like I said, it's like when I'm going in there and I'm being authentic, and I want to learn. So, um, like I feel like you just miss out on so much, and like you go on social media, all of it's fake, and so many people try to fake this lifestyle or these ways of thinking, and it's not sustainable. It's not. Um, but again, just being around these people has just been it's been nice because again, I feel like it's right up my alley. They're speaking the same language, and it's almost like a glimpse of 10 years, 15 years down the road when I'm really starting able like to implement what I am learning.
So
Where does
how often do you maintain like a connection that you meet through these networking events? Like, are you
I mean,
talking to them
I
weekly? Or are you talking to them yearly? Like, or what's that kind of
it just
evolve as?
it depends on the person. I mean, like, uh, it ranges. Like, some will be every other day, some will be weekly, some will be bi-weekly, and a lot of it just depends on who the person is, and how much they have on their plate, right? So if it's like, if it's a billionaire per se, chances are I'm going to pick and choose how often I'm reaching out because one, you don't want to like overstep, but at the same time, it's like I understand that people have real life stuff going on, and it's like Luke, is giving me stuff about, so I'm the worst at texting, dude. It's like for me, a FaceTime call goes so much further than just like trying to text because
Oh, for sure.
trying to have a conversation with, everybody gets it. Like just trying to hold a conversation just throughout the course of a day or a couple. It's tough. It's like
It's the
I'd rather
work.
just call. So like understanding that like talk about a high net worth individual. It's like there's a reason why they're a high net worth individual. There's a lot of stuff they're doing. They're impacting a lot of lives, and there's a lot on their plate. And uh, so understanding that and just like conversations in the past and just whether they're in a mentor kind of position or I have some people that'll just hop on a Zoom call for a workshop. So say it's a guy who buys hotels. I'm like, all right, man, you're 34. You wake up one day, you want to buy a hotel. Now what do you do, right? You need to raise how much money? How are you raising that money? Are you going in and finding people in your network that may have some capital ready to move? Are you going to the bank? Are you going to doing this? So it's like it just depends on the person. It depends on what field they're in, where I want to kind of take it. Um, but so yeah, it really just depends.
So what kind of ventures have you started outside of ball that like you have found through these networking events, or are you doing anything of that nature?
So there's this one business that's probably gonna uh, I I'll go into a little bit. It's just it's targeting athletes and will provide them with the resources to kind of shift the way they're thinking about certain things.
Cool.
And what I what I hate seeing are all these guys. They finish playing, they have no clue what they're gonna do. All they did was completely just focus on this one thing. Their career ends, and like, now what do I do? You see it way too often. And everybody's a former professional athlete. Everybody's a former everything. So it's like when you're in it, you have so much momentum, and guys don't realize how much momentum, how many resources, how much cushion you have while you're in it. And I feel like guys don't make enough moves while they have that safety net. So this platform it'll be a way for guys to get equipped with the knowledge, the resources, the tools um, to make moves and just to get that in front of their faces to start thinking a little bit differently about their careers and their futures and stuff like that. Um, But on the other hand, so real estate, there will be a few moves that will be made soon. I own one home currently. That was one of those things where, like, before I made moves, I wanted to learn about it. I struggle, like, all right, here's my money, go do stuff with it. I really struggle with that. So I took the last couple of years trying to learn as much as possible before making any moves other than buying my home. Um, but with the help of a lot of people out here, providing a lot of insight and deals and stuff like that, some moves will be getting made soon. So yeah, there's a few things I've been working on. Just to touch on it real quickly.
Cool.
It's interesting your mindset with it, because I mean I feel it pretty heavy with when I was playing. That idea. I mean, I was going through injuries just like yourself, and I went through injuries in college, and I started realizing my draft stock was just going down, just down, just tanking. And I came in that I had that mindset was just like, what am I gonna do? Like,
Yep.
what else am I gonna do? I dedicated my whole life to this, right? And then it messed me up mentally. Like, that's where my darkest times were around that time. And I got in the pro ball, got an opportunity, and injuries happened again later on in there. And same idea. It's like, what the hell? If this is the end, like, what do I do? I never there. I never thought about really about something else, like in actually giving effort towards it. Because I was under the impression, the way I was thinking, always thought it was like, if I give energy to anything else, it's going to take away energy I can give to baseball. If I put anything else somewhere else, it's going to take away from here.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it definitely affected some of the mindset, that I was having when I was playing. It was just like later on, like, what happens if? What if? It's like, well, fuck, like, you did this to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
By the grace of God, yeah, I was given an opportunity to do something outside of baseball, which has been awesome. But I feel like that's way more common. Like, to say you're 1% would be, I think that's even a stretch. There's not many people that think about it the way you do when they're in it, and then nevertheless think about it the way you do when they're in it, when they have the money. Because a lot of players, they get the money and they're in it, and it's like, then that's it. They don't even think about it, because, like, well, if it doesn't work out, I have the money and I'll figure something out. And then those are the guys probably bust later on, or they just kind of, God knows what ends up happening. So I suppose, like, where did this come from? Is it why all of a sudden in college? Yeah, I get you. It makes perfect sense what you're saying, but it had to not have just come from that one injury. You've always been an ambitious person, I'd imagine. You're always that personality. I mean, where did that? Why? What is it?
I just hate wasting time, right?
Okay.
I hate wasting time, and like there was a point where, like, I was thinking the same thing. All right, like, I'm trying to put all my time and energy into baseball. If I do anything else, it'll take away that. And I was early on. I was like, that's just BS, right? Like, if people have time, to go and hop on the video games for 8 hours after you finish practice, like, you have time to do other stuff.
True.
So for me, it's like, I've never been a video game guy. Like, I've always been on the move. I've always wanted to be on the move. Whether I'm outside doing random stuff with my friends, riding bikes when I was younger, or, like, I'm always on the move trying to make something happen. And, like, I feel like I have an idea. I have a very good idea of who I am as a person, right? And my wants and needs, and essentially what it takes to get there. But at the same time, it's like the sacrifices and the good and the bad of each, and, like, also understanding the grass isn't always greener, right? But because of just the fact that that's who I am, and it's hard for me to just, like, if I finish up the field, there was a point last year where, like, I made it a goal of mine to just, like, go home and sit down and watch a movie, Like, that was, like, a goal of mine, to just go home and sit down and watch a movie, like, once or twice a week. But I don't know, man. I don't know where it comes from. I think, like, in college and living with Kenny, it's like I got to the point where what started, I think, too, was, like, I had a YouTube channel. So, like, I would put vlogs out. So when I was in high school or when I was younger, I loved watching like vlogs. So people would just take videos of their life, and I just always would want to watch these people that are doing just cool stuff and driving cool cars and living in cool homes. And I'm like, that's just awesome. Like, I would love to live that life one day. And I watched them because I wanted to see what it took to get to where they're at. So I wanted insight on what they're doing on a day to day to figure out why they are where they are. And how does that pertain to baseball? So I was like, all right, like, it works across the board. So say I'm a high school kid, I want to know what college baseball is like. How do you know what college baseball is like if you never played college baseball? You don't, right? So I was like, all right, I was at school and I was like, all right, maybe I'll make vlogs so that kids could figure out what college baseball even looks like. What does a road trip look like? What does a home series look like? Like, what goes into it? All right, you throw your clothes on loops and toss it. Like, just random things like that nobody would ever know of. So I started making those videos, and then I don't know, somebody wanna some person that's doing good in business a few years ago. He's like, you should just try to monetize it. So he talks about just monetizing the things that you're already doing in your life. So then it kind of shifted from, all right, like, how do I just put these videos out? All right, how do I make quality videos to where the viewers can benefit, and then I could also benefit from YouTube's, platform to where they're running ads on it and I'm making money off of it. Just stuff that I'm literally doing anyway. Like, so just literally carry a camera around and try to make money off it that way. So then I have, companies and brands starting to reach out, and I'm starting to work with them. And I'm like, you know what? Now I'm starting to like negotiate. And again, it's, say I'm getting, $1,000 or $1,500 for a video or whatever. It was just so much fun. And then
This is all pre-base, like pre-signing.
this is pre-signing, yeah. So I was at school and I
Wow.
was making these videos. So my junior year that's when NIL started. So it all kind of happened at the same time. So like the TJ happened, NIL starts, my name's starting to get some traction. I'm making these videos. So now it's like I essentially am in control of, the opportunities that I'm getting off of the field, because at that point I'm down. I'm in a sling. So it's like, okay, I'm meeting this CEO, that CEO, starting to negotiate with whatever company for a product or cash. And again, I just loved it. And I don't know, I just love that piece of it. And whether it's like, I mean, the owners or GMs, I'm always so curious. It's like what goes into their lives and like what makes them, why they're successful. I have a whole group on the side where like, Luca, you know about this. Like, I shoot guns once in a while, and like I have a lot of dudes that are veterans, and they have a whole different perspective on stuff. So it's like you go talk to them. All right, like they ask you, all right, what are some stressors of a baseball player? Oh, like a pitcher give a home run, or like, what do you mean? Like that's the worst thing that can happen is you give them a home run. So you just get the ball back again, and you just throw another pitch, and hopefully you don't give a home run next. So they're like, all right, how about a dude right next to me getting his head blown off, and it puts it into perspective, man. Like that's a dark example, but it's real,
No.
and that kind of, like, just little things like that, just taking bits and pieces and seeing what could be implemented in my life, what I could apply to myself to, build off of who I am as a person and just, I don't know, it's just a mixture of a lot, man. A lot, I have a lot of good people in my life that are very helpful and caring and giving, and I never take that for granted and try to take advantage of it in the best way possible. That's what it's from.
That's cool. I have a question. So you said you know who you are, which is a great thing. Was there an experience or like a life journey that kind of like brought you more awareness to who you were, or you kind of were just kind of different as a kid? I'm gonna march to my own beat of my drum type of dealer.
I think what it was I was having so many conversations where, like, you have all these adults saying, like, I've never met a kid your age that speaks like this, talks like this, whatever, thinks about things this way. And it got to the point where like so many people said that, and I had to sit down and be like, why? Like, what am I doing? Like, why are people saying this thing? Because I didn't even know. I didn't know why I was saying those things, thinking those things. I had no clue whatsoever. So then I went. I took probably a month, maybe, I mean longer, man, just to really kind of sit with that and look into like as many areas of my life as possible and eliminate as many question marks as possible to figure out why I am the way that I am.
What'd you find?
Um,
I
huh?
want to know what you found.
What did I find? So, like, I have a great family, man. I have a great family, and like all the core values, everything it comes from them, right? They're so caring and loving, and they always put each other first, everybody else first. And I feel like I get a little bit of that from them, um, or a lot of that from them. Um, but like there were pieces in my life, whether just other parts of the family that you know wasn't very present throughout my life. So like my dad, for example, wasn't wasn't present for most of my life, and there was a stretch where like I was very curious of like what parts of him were in me. So I kind of went down that road and got to figure that out a little bit as well. So that was a big one for me, getting those answers and and getting an idea, just from the things that obviously I could kind of look around and see what pieces of me are from other people, but I got that one not going into it a ton. That one I got a lot of answers from that piece as well. That's I haven't talked about that. That's
You're good.
with many
You're good.
people.
You're good. You're
Deep,
good.
that's deep.
So,
Um, going back to what you said about the goal of yours to just sit down and watch a movie, right? I'd imagine that goal originated from the idea that you were lacking something like close to peace to a certain extent. You needed to be still for a little bit. I'd imagine that's just my interpretation of that. Do you find that since you're always on the move that you kind of you need time to yourself, or are you truly that extrovert where it's like you get energy from being on the go? You don't need that like that kind of regrouping time. You don't need that time to yourself. Like I'm not sure if you meditate or anything like that, but that time with yourself. Do you what are you doing kind of just for yourself in terms of being still? If you are, do you need any of that?
I love me time. Like people always think because they
Well, what
always
does
see
me
like
time look like for you?
um. So I have gotten better at. So I have a dog now, right? So I'm forced to be home a lot more than I was in the past, which is
Mhm.
great, which is great. And I say that I made that a goal of mine. Because I used to look at watching a movie on the couch as like wasting time.
Exactly,
So say I watch one movie a month, that those 2 hours we're watching that movie I wasted 2 hours of my life.
dude.
I didn't,
Yeah,
I didn't want to. I didn't want to think that way. So because like you have to have a healthy balance. Like me taking 2 hours a week to watch a movie or even more is it's not that big of a deal because like that is not it's not a trend. It's not. I'm still getting my stuff done. Um, and honestly, like I've gotten away from like I need to get back into meditation more. I actually want to do some guided stuff. So I've been looking into that. I'm probably going to get something going soon. Uh, just recently started working with. Well, we actually have our first session this week with an identity coach. So I met this one guy by the name of Colt 3 weeks ago. He owns one of the biggest roofing companies in the country, and he made this introduction with this identity coach. He said he's been using them for like 5 years or so, and it's been unbelievable. Because a lot of times, like again, I say I have an idea, but who really knows? Like people feel as though they have an idea of who they are as a person, but until you really explore it, you don't really know. And I've tried to explore it, but I'd imagine that somebody could assist better than I could try to navigate it myself. Um, but even
Never
just
heard of that
What?
before.
Yeah.
something such as simple as
What is an identity coach, or what is like the premise of it?
good question. I'll let you know. I'll let you know when I have my first
Okay.
my first
All
session.
right. Fair enough.
But no, I think because we had like a little intro thing to it, but kind of what I gathered from Colt was just like really get an understanding of who you are as a person, what makes you tick, and using that information to help align like your day to day and like your career with what it is that you want, and like make it to where say you hit a certain spot financially, so you don't lose, you know, you don't lose your idea of who you are as a person. So I think that's where a lot of it comes into play too. Like, he's again very successful, big earner, and like keeping that person there so that you just don't lose sight of that.
What do you think the trade-off is, like meeting these high earners, these one percenters? Do you think there's a trade-off, and you're getting to know them personally? Do you think there's a trade-off to the guys on the other side of the fence, the guys that aren't high earners or maybe are prioritizing other things?
Well, I mean, somebody yesterday, when they exit their company, they'll be a billionaire. They were talking about like, I mean, they're in their 40s, no kids, they're engaged now, and he said like, this is by design. Like, he would not be able to have the career that he has if he didn't take that approach. So, just like anything, man, there's sacrifices. So, I mean, like for him, looking at his situation, all the homes in the world, all the boats, all the cars, but he doesn't have any kids, and that's what he chose. So it's like, that's why I say it's having an idea of who you are and what it is that you want is massive, because not everybody wants $200 million in their bank account. Some people want a good family, a healthy home, like a stable home, and that's why it's like, again, just being able to recognize where you're at and appreciating that is so huge. But it's so much easier when you know who you are and what it is that you want, so that if you have those things or working towards those things, you could just appreciate it that much more and be able to just sleep peacefully at night, even if you don't have this on paper or a Lambo sitting in your driveway. There's trade-offs to everything. There's sacrifices. It comes down to what you want,
Beautifully said. Yeah. Just a side note. Your energy is infectious. Like it's rare. Like, I don't know. It's cool. Just
Thank you, brother.
just a compliment.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you. I appreciate
He's always
that.
smiling.
Yeah, you can't help but smile
always
whenever he's
smiling,
talking.
You guys, man. Hey,
He said that's us. No, that's you, bro.
telling you, it's you
That's
guys.
funny.
It's you guys. I'll just drive my truck down the road. I'm just smiling at everybody.
I don't know. It'd be hard for me to believe that you don't.
That'd be
You
freaky,
probably see
bro.
somebody on
Speaking of going off of that, you and I, similar stature. You're a little smaller than me, but other than that, you're we're similar.
See, like, I don't know how many of your viewers actually have seen you in person, but I make this dude look like a dwarf.
Okay, we're the same height. Reggie's got about 40 pounds on me. Okay, and it's 35 pounds of that is muscle. So he's a big human being. But what I'm getting at is, people tell me that I'm not approachable because I'm tall and I'm intimidating and blah, blah, blah. I don't know exactly if it's because I'm tall or if it's just because I have this resting face where it's just like, I feel like people think I'm always fucking pissed off. I don't know. They think I want to kill them at all times. But then you talk to me and people are like, dude, you're actually like a good guy. I'm just like, oh, thanks, I guess. Like, is that supposed to be a compliment or is that supposed to be like a backhanded, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what that means, but I never get approached my whole life. people don't really come up to me and just like have conversations. Now, you have a different personality. Do people come up to you, just approach you, have conversations? You know?
Yeah, I think depending on the setting and the environment, I think that'll determine the way in which like kind of like mannerisms and the way I move per se, right? Because I did get those comments as well, like in the past, like all right, you got RBF and
Yeah,
yada
exactly.
yada. So then I was a little bit more aware of it, and like at the end of the day, all of it's real, but I definitely will, whether it's the tone of my voice or like the way in which I walk, just because like I'm a people pleaser, but I'm not, but I am. So it's like if I could make it to where some people may not feel as threatened in a certain situation, depending on who they are, then sometimes I'll do that. You know, there was one guy I met, Jared. He met him like a month ago. He lives in the city, and he's a big dude, 6'4", bro. His arms are like five five times the size of my arms, and he was talking
Jesus.
about he very successful dude, and he's been in a lot of rooms, and he's had people say, "Hey, like Jared, just be cautious of like the energy and the way in which you go about things, because that could turn a lot of people off, depending on if you're trying to close a deal, just because that he was always he had a thing, right? That was a thing. Big dude, took up a lot of space in the room, and that's what he was taught. But then he got really good at like, all right, like what do I need for this room? What do I need for this room? What do I need for this room? Who do I need to be in terms of like the energy and like the space that I'm taking up? And depending on the information that he gathers from it, that'll determine the way in which he goes about it. And it was definitely really interesting to hear. So like,
Being
for
like
example,
water.
exactly. So he gave an example. He was like, all right, he was talking to um, like this panel of mostly females, and because of a lot of the females that have told him in the past, hey, like you got way too much masculine energy, you need to cut back, or you're not going to be able to connect with people. He's able to now make those adjustments in certain situations to again maximize what he's doing, and make it to where he could reach as many people as possible doing it that way.
Well, doing that, yeah, obviously business wise and relationship wise and stuff like that, it's a great character trait. But how much of that you must ride a fine line of being authentic versus just trying to act a certain way just to make other people happy. How do
Yeah,
you
that's
I mean, if this some is this something you're practicing like, on your in your life?
so. Yeah, but also I'm not in like a bunch of. I go to the field. That's my job. I'm going to the
But
locker room with the boys.
to a certain extent,
But
you've kind of tried to implement it into your life to a certain extent. Like,
yeah,
do
no,
you
definitely.
notice that you're kind of have a if you're constantly focused on the crowd you're speaking to, right? Which yeah, to a certain extent you have to be.
Mhm.
At what point is it like, all right, well, I need to be me, and if other
Well,
people don't
exactly.
like me, well, it's like honestly, I don't give a shit.
Hmm.
You know,
And
I mean,
that's
but in business, it's a hard. I guess it's hard.
exactly. And that's another thing too, bro. Is like if it's you know at the end of the day, you have to be authentic. You know, and when he's talking about like the chameleon piece, it's like maybe he's changing his tone, right? If you go and talk to a 75-year-old lady, like you're not going to talk to her the same way you talk to me. So
Yeah,
that's kind of what he's talking about. Is like you do that naturally. You won't, feel fatigued if you do that. If you talk to an old lady for 75 minutes, you won't feel fatigued 20 minutes later because you did that. You're still yourself. It's just the fact that, she's going to be a little more fragile than I am. Like, I would, but her, she, she's just going about her business. So, um, that's kind of what he means by that. And like,
yeah.
I feel like I do a decent job at that in the first place. Like I'm aware of my surroundings, who I'm with, and like
You have a lot of
regardless,
feminine energy.
I probably learned from you. I mean, I mean, don't spending too much time with you. But
uh,
but yeah. So like at the end of the day, you're gonna get my authentic self.
yeah.
But like, you know, it's just being aware of that, and because again, that was feedback he got, and again, us being like, not the smallest of dudes, me being a lot bigger than you, it's like you have to be aware of that sometimes.
People probably think we're talking about the Hulk versus some little.
We need to put you guys
Funny.
in those bubbles that they do at those games and see who's actually bigger.
Oh, dude. Oh my God. You're like, how much weight right now, Luca? Like,
I've been cutting since when did I start cutting? I cut it first week of March is when I started cutting. No, I started bulking October. You taught me. I mean, I was going about bulking for a whole year, dude, and I basically gained. Actually, I might have lost 1 pound. Actually, I've been bulking for a year, and
my bulking advice.
And word for word, bro, we're sitting there, just at breakfast in the house, just talking, and I literally said to you, I was just like, "What do you do to get bigger?" And then the way you responded before you gave me any advice, you said, "Well," and you pulled your phone out. I was like, "What is he doing?" And you pull out your dad on a picture on a horse, and he was just horseback riding. And this dude, holy shit, he's 2 times the size of you. So I was like, all right, well, genetics is definitely playing on your side. Well, obviously you worked for it, and it's like, what do you do? And it's like, well, when I want to bulk, honestly, I can gain weight. Like, I can get there in 2 weeks. I eat until I need to throw up every meal, and then after every meal, after every meal, I usually have like 40 minutes later, I'll have a protein shake. It's like, 40, 50 grams of protein. And I just do that on repeat. And I'm just oh my God.
See, and for the people, that's not sustainable. That's not sustainable. No. It's all right. If I have a 3-week window and I want to hit this, I want to shave off 2% of fat. It's just, all right, I'll, up protein, down carbs, and eat till I want to throw up, and then you're good.
No, but since that conversation we had at that weekend in Wisconsin, I was like, all right, well, I need to eat more. So I basically realized I'm just gonna start eating 5,000 calories. I was sitting around 41 to 4,200 a day, roughly. I was like 3,800 to 42, and then I was like, all right, I'm just gonna go for 48 to 5,000, and I put a little more body fat on than I would have liked, but I did get bigger. So I started cutting. I only did like a 4-month bulk, 4.5-month bulk. Started cutting in March. So I'm back down. I got up to like 250 I got up to. Yeah. And now I'm down to like 222 right now. But dude, it's weird because it wasn't I've been 245, but like real 245. I wasn't a real 250. At the end of your bulk, you're like, you almost have that like weird bloated weight. Dude, I literally lost 12 pounds in a week. Like or 2 weeks. When I really like just kind of cut back the carbs and cut back the whole total calories and just started running a little bit, I literally lost 12 pounds because it wasn't my weight. You know what I mean? It was like holding on for dear life. And then once I stopped eating that much, it just came off.
What do you want to weigh right now? Yeah. Are you chilling where you're at?
No, I mean, so I'm basically going. I want to get to about like 5-6% body fat, and then kind of work back into my bulk again. Just like kind of see where I'm at. That same. I want to see same body fat wise. I want to see weight where I'm at. You know what I mean? My goal is to be around 230 at 5-6%. You know what I mean? That's my goal. So, and if 5-6% isn't realistic on a daily basis, based on how I feel and stuff, I'll just go like probably 8%. But I'll just see how I feel mentally. That's what I really notice. If I'm really low body fat, I'll be a lot more. I get a lot more lightheaded or like brain fog. I get that more.
Yeah, because you're malnourished, probably.
but yeah. So.
Starving yourself.
Yeah, but yeah, it's been great. I've enjoyed it. So yeah. I learned that weekend with you. I really did learn like I need to eat more. I didn't really understand, and it's funny.
I don't count ever. I know Kenny's big on the counting too. I just I go off the feel. So if I feel good after, all right, cool. If I feel like I'm gonna throw up, but it's good food, all right, it's not bad,
I just moved into a new apartment up here, and we're talking about Blackstone, the Blackstone Grill about a few months back, and I was looking at getting one because I have a backyard now, and I was hell-bent. I was like, I'm getting one, like 100%. And I was like, fuck, like, am I really? I want to get the big one. I wanted to get like the 36-inch one. I was like, am I really about to spend $500 on a grill? Like, am I really about to do this right now? But then I was scrolling whatever, and I saw this one 37 inches bigger, and it was on sale as a Home Depot. It wasn't Blackstone though. It was called Razor. But dude, it's just how it doesn't that whole part of the
Did
story
you get
is
it?
completely irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant. Yeah, I got it. It was 50% off, and I was like, holy shit.
Oh, that's
And I
cute.
got it, so yeah, I got a deal, but that's not the point. I have the griddle. It's 37 inches, dude. Just today, I was cooking chicken for meal preps. 15 pounds of chicken I cooked within 15 minutes. It
It's a game
was
changer.
sick.
Yeah,
It's sick.
I know, dude. I'm telling you. And then Kenny and Alyssa got me the sous vide. So
What's
now
that?
I can go. It's a thing you hook it to a pot. You fill the pot with water.
Okay.
You hook it to the pot. You put, say, steak in like plastic Ziploc bags, and then you just sink them in the water. And then this device sets the water to a certain temperature, and it sits there, so it gets all the internal temperature like set to whatever you want it, and then you just sear it after a few hours. So like
I have no idea what that means.
I did 9 steaks in this massive pot. So you set the temperature to whatever you want it at.
Wait,
So,
do you get the pot, or is it a thing that you attach to it?
so you just attach it to the pot. You get a normal pot that you just normally get. So then, say, I'm trying to,
I'm looking up a picture of it.
yeah, just look it up.
Sous vide.
I don't even know how to spell it. But long story short, it'll get the internal temperature set, and then you just sear it. So I could go 9 steaks. Prep time on the front end is like 7 minutes. I'll come back from the field, sear them. It takes 5 minutes, and then I have 9 steaks done in like 10 minutes total.
Wait, so the water basically gets to a certain temperature, the inside's cooking?
Yeah.
Huh.
So all you then need to do is just sear it. So like, make it a little brown or a little crispy.
Wow, that's legit.
Yeah. And then, so now I'm cranking out, dude, almost 10 steaks in a total of 10 minutes.
That's insane, actually.
I know. So, it's all right. So now,
Going off of what the whole nutrition thing, you're saying you're trying to stay healthy. How much of this, like, how much of that is different now in terms of like the nutrition? Or I mean, the nutrition is the same, obviously, but like the goals of not wanting to get too big. Because your thing was, Kenny and Brandon even told me, is like they were yelling at you because you just kept lifting. You were just wanting to get absolutely massive
like,
all the time. And the thing is, when you're throwing 100, it's like, do I need to change? It's like, so take me through that.
it's, because like baseball's weird, man. You play a lot of games. So, typically they want guys to be maybe a little bit higher percent body fat, just so you're more sustainable. And just like anything, if you're super low and you're doing a lot of stuff, it's hard for the body to kind of support that. Especially when it's baseball, when you're playing with such extreme range of motion and trying to be so strong and so much torque in those extreme ranges. So like, yeah, I mean, I had a very high muscle mass, and there was a point where I didn't have a ton of body fat on me, so I looked great. It was fun, but obviously I've had the injury bug, so people were thinking that maybe the fact that I had a lot of muscle and very little fat, maybe that was the reason for the injuries. So I was like, all right, I tried to put on some fat and went with it a bit, and I don't know, like you saw a picture, like I have good genetics, so I eat clean. So for me to put on fat, like I typically have to eat like some crappy food. So that in itself, like I don't want to do that, right? So I'm not happy when I'm trying to do that, to put on fat. And like Elitraj, a surgeon, he was kind of saying how like he thinks that this shoulder injury was from high school. So if this was torn since high school, then obviously I'm going to be compensating. If this doesn't work the way it's supposed to, elbow's going to take the hit, oblique's going to take the hit, lat's going to take the hit, which those are the injuries that I've seen. So now I'm kind of like, all right, maybe it was just the shoulder that was the root cause of all these injuries throughout the years, and not the fact that I just may look a little bit different than the next pitcher next to me, and that not be the actual reason for why I'm having these injuries. Because like most of the injuries I have, whether it's a 160 pounder or me, like they're the same injuries. Obviously I've had again more than your average person, but I don't think that is because of the muscle or anything like that.
And that gets into the conversation we were having at not at his wedding, the night before, the whatever you want to call it, the get together, where basically it's like it takes a special type of person, because anyone can coach an X amount of players, but it takes a special person to be able to coach the players who are different. Your body's different. You just aren't built the same as people, and it takes a certain type of person to be able to to acknowledge that and not want to change you to be more like the average person,
Yeah,
and it's a tough battle when you're not for the person who's doing it, but for you, because it's like, well, now you have an organization who you got to make happy to a certain extent. You can't piss them off all the time, but then you got to also do it your way, because it's like, this is my career, and it's like, well, shit, I feel like I'm just
definitely something to navigate, man. I'll leave it there. It's definitely something to navigate. Obviously, like I am not your average player, so doing a lot of the same things that most of the other guys. It's just So it's I'm working on navigating that still, because it does take a different kind of person to be able to think a little bit differently, maybe outside the box, and look at it for what it is, and make potential adjustments to kind of align with the fact that I'm not your average player, average pitcher build, so it's been something. So we're trying to figure that out as well.
So where are you at time frame wise? What's the timeline? You got surgery a while back.
In September 26th, threw my first bullpen last week on Wednesday. Really good bullpen. 20 pitches, like 19 strikes. 50% it was like 81 to 83, and then last year like 83, 86, just like coming out, man, really well. And then so I'll just slowly ramp up, and then I should be out of here. Hopefully middle of July. In game, maybe late June. So I mean it's coming up. So I should get the second half of the season. I should. So
good news.
Yeah, that's being on the shelf is no fun.
It's no fun, man. I spent my fair share on the shelf, so I'm just trying to get off of it and stay off of it.
I'll tell you what, it's cool though for you that you get to be home to a certain extent. You got your house there. You don't live the typical life of someone who's in rehab, and I'm not saying it makes it's not hard, but it makes it easier to deal with when you're living at home.
It definitely does, dude. Like, just
and I don't mean that disrespect. Obviously, you deal with your own fair share of stuff, but
I'll say that every single day. It's so much nicer. I mean, this is my reality, so like I'm not gonna like shy away from the fact that I'm in rehab. This is what I got. So like, it definitely makes it so much nicer that I can just go sleep in my own bed, for sure. Yeah. And obviously, like, I've trying to create this life in Arizona as well. So I have a lot of people, a lot of resources, a lot of things to do, and that helps too, because I know you guys spend time in rehab, I'm sure, and I know you did, Luca, but like it's long and it's a process. So finding ways to, just take your mind off of it and do just random things to just make time go by sometimes is the most important thing. So that's why it is so nice just having such good people out here, and again having my home and my dogs out here. So just trying to make the most of the situation.
Yeah, it's admirable the way you try to make best of that time. A lot of the people, like you said, they go home and just kind of rot for the rest of the time. They literally go to the field and they literally do anything afterwards. You know, a lot of wasted time. So
No, I appreciate that.
You're the exact opposite. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to take up too much of your time. You probably got something lined up in 30 minutes from now.
He's got
I mean,
three,
you're in your car.
three
You're already
events tonight. Yeah.
He's ready revving the gas right now, ready to get the fuck out of here.
Hey, this has been fun, guys.
Yeah,
I appreciate you guys having me on. This is great.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you getting on. It's been a little road getting here, but
put some hair on your chest.
Bro, you say this every time. Every time.
And you have yet to come out.
You say this every time. Zach, he literally told me, he said, come out and see what a real man's like. I was like, what are you talking about?
You'll be going to every event under the sun, Luca.
Yeah. I mean,
exactly.
I'll definitely be.
Dude, that's
well,
what
I tell you what.
That's what I told Kieran. I said, brother, come spend a month. Like, my people are your people, man.
Yeah.
You know?
100%.
But,
dude, it was crazy. Like, Kenny was telling about when he went to the World Series and stuff, and he was in a box, and he saw CC, and he was like, bro, I had to go say hi to CC. I had to, like, tell him, well, what's up, because Reggie and him are boys. And I'm just like, dude, how the fuck? What are you talking about, Reggie and CC are boys? How's this possible?
People don't get out enough in a good way. Like, people don't put themselves in, like, uncomfortable situations enough. Like you were saying earlier, Zach, like, there may be events where, like, I have no clue, like, whether it's, like, science stuff, I have no clue about any of it. But, like, I'll just go. Like, I can make do. If I look, like, it's just like anything. Like, if I look dumb for 5 seconds, who cares? Like, I don't care.
Now, where do you, last thing, where do you find it? Do you go online? Do you, like, look, events in my area? Is that how you do it?
Well, it's like,
or do you have a special app? Like, what is it?
No. It's like, all right, think of a baseball player. Like, you know 2 baseball players, and you know 10 baseball players. You know 10 baseball players, and you know 50 baseball players. So, like, all right, I know this person, they have this dinner tonight. I know this person, they have this event tonight. And, like, they know I enjoy it. Like, I could hold my own in these rooms. Like, they don't ever hesitate, and, they're never hesitant just for the, scenario where I, make them look bad or myself look bad. They don't ever struggle with, extending invitations because of that fear. So it's like, I mean, I'm telling you, man, there's a lot of good people out there, and I got a lot of good people in my corner, thankfully. And, like, a lot of these people are the most, most giving. They're just always giving knowledge and providing and helping in any way. And a lot of times, all right, hey, come meet this person, come to this dinner, just come be a fly on the wall for this conversation or whatever it may be. But I think for people that are trying to get started, yeah, that's a great way to do it. Like, just go search up stuff and just go. Like, who cares? Like, anything that you may have interest in, even if you may not have interested in, or, like, dude, I, out here, there was a pickleball tournament like 3 years ago. Got out here, wasn't here long, but I was like, it could be a cool event. I know nothing about pickleball whatsoever. And then just, like, threw on a nice outfit, just, like, normal stuff that I would wear, and it was like a 3-day event. Ended up meeting 3 billionaires, and just, like, they were owners of the teams that were playing. It's just random stuff like that. And now, like, I still talk to those guys all the time, and it's just like, I don't know, just by going and just showing face and just that's the hardest thing, is just going, or, like, doing it. That is the hardest part 90% of the time, is just doing it.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I love it.
Oh, man. So
I love it, man.
You guys want to come out, let me know, all right?
I love it.
I might hit you up. I really will.
Hey, let me know, man. Let me know.
Love it. All right, brother. Appreciate your time, dude. Enjoy your night.
Yes, sir.
And we'll talk soon.
Sounds good, guys. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Peace.
See you.